I'm a truck driver. All right. And for people that don't know, truck drivers tend to
Yes, they
see
do.
things that you thought you never see
We were
before. Like
actually
you
talking about this a couple of weeks ago. Like, we wanted to get
Yep.
some of the truck drivers in
Yep.
here because they see a lot of stuff. So this is
You.
awesome.
Yep. You are on the like the modern high seas.
right, right. It's amazing. But the thing is, though, that the things that I've seen was only when I first started driving.
Hmm.
Now, I'm not over the road anymore. I'm more local driving, but uh, over the road, it was just, when you're out at night, it gets real creepy, and you think your mind's playing tricks on you,
Hmm.
but you just don't know. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, when I first started driving, I was driving in the southeast area. I think it's a more like Georgia and stuff like that. Um, and I can't remember what freeway I was driving down, but I was by myself. I finished training and all that stuff, and I was by myself, and I was driving down the this dark road, and just as I'm driving down, I kind of see this like hazy figure, and I drive closer and closer. I'm driving like around 35 miles an hour, and I drive by it, and it was just this weird hooded figure almost.
Hmm.
And I couldn't make heads or tails of it because you couldn't see its face.
Hmm.
You could all you see is just it's hooded, like almost like it's wearing like a hooded sweatshirt, but it's not that. I couldn't make it. It was like grayish almost, and I figured my mind was just playing tricks on me, but I just don't know. Uh, I couldn't tell because it was like based off of my history, like my family history. We always seen these weird things,
Hmm.
and me being over the road, almost deprived because like I'm getting used to driving overnight and stuff.
Yep.
It's hard to tell. So
S-
I wanted to get your guys' take on this. Like,
So,
what would this be?
well, let's unspool it just a little bit more. When you say hazy
Yeah,
figure, like, did it look like fog? Like what? And did you
yeah.
slow
It
down as
it
you
was
passed by it?
almost foggy, like it was like as you get closer, you could kind of see like get a figure of it. Like you could kind of see you could. I'm sorry, I'm bad at explaining these things.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. And I know you were also sleep deprived and you're tired and you're working on the road and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, sometimes I'm like, okay, the skeptic in me is always, well, I'm tired. I'm just seeing things. I misinterpreted the fog that was crawling across the road at this insane hour that I'm driving. I used to drive a box truck for a long time, and I remember those early mornings, like super early mornings, where I'm like super tired and everything just seems weirder than it is. Obviously in the daylight, but also you come across these things you just can't explain, and it's not just your mind playing tricks on you. You saw something, and you, to add to that, you said your family has a history of this stuff.
Yeah, it's weird. It's more like when we're waking up in the middle of the night, like we're kind of half asleep, we see these dark figures. Like
Hmm.
me and my brother, we discussed this before. Like we would wake up and like it's almost hovering over us, but there's other times we'll see it in the corner. And the weirdest thing is that I, we can't tell if it's like some form of like sleep paralysis or anything,
Mm-hmm.
because there's sometimes when I'm waking up and I see these like weird figures come crawling off like the wall. They're almost spider like,
Hmm.
but I can't figure out what it is. Like my mind's not clicking everything together.
Are you
Yeah.
able
But
to
it
move? Like, are you like locked into your sleep position, but you're conscious?
Mm.
right. Well, yeah, I'm conscious, but yeah, I'm just not. My mind isn't like putting all the pieces together. But
Okay.
I could see the room around me. I could see all my surroundings, like my bookshelf, my desk, my bed. Like I could see all that around me. But then my mind is kind of like telling me, oh, there's these things crawling off the wall too. It's very weird.
How old were you? Do you remember when you saw your first one?
My first one, I was about 10 years old.
And at that point, did you know about your family seeing these things, or? Were you the first to see one?
No, no, I had I didn't really talk to my family about these things. It wasn't until like I was around, say, 14 or 15 when I started talking to my little brother about it, because me and him were sharing this room in a foster home.
Hmm.
And I remember he would wake up and he would shake me awake, a- and say these weird things, you know.
Was there like were you in fear when it happened?
Sort of, because he would like startle me. It was more
Right,
like that, you know,
right, of course.
because he would startle me awake, and then he would talk about like, you know, we gotta go outside and get this jar, or something like that. He would like, it would just wouldn't make any sense.
Right, like as a way to counter whatever it was to get rid of it or something.
I think so. I
That's
think so,
interesting.
because I didn't understand it, but it wasn't until later on when he told me like, well, I'm seeing this guy in the corner, and I don't know who he is. And he'd tell me like he would see him for like 10 or 15 seconds and then just gone.
Did it have a hat?
He, I don't know.
Do you know about
I
Hatman?
don't, the one that I've seen had a hat.
Okay. Do you have you heard about Hatman?
I have on the Y files. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like that's a figure that shows up a lot and a lot with children. We've had a bunch of callers call in who've seen the Hat Man, which is like a tall, shadowy figure with a wide brimmed hat, and it shows up. It seems to show up. People seem to see it the most when there's some sort of trauma involved. And if you don't mind, like getting into it just a little bit, like you say you were in a foster home. Like, was it a weird situation, bad situation? Were other kids there? Did they experience things that were like supernatural?
No, the other kids in the foster home didn't experience anything supernatural, but there was there was a traumatizing experience. It wasn't, I mean, I wouldn't say like a death in the family, but it was more so me and my little brother, we got pulled out from our parents' house, right? And
Mm,
there was a point where like we were separated,
hmm.
but it was only for like a few months.
Okay.
And then me and my little brother, we came back together in this one foster home. It was a very caring foster home too.
Oh, that's
Like
good.
yeah, it was very good. They're Christian and everything. We loved them.
Great.
But there was a point where they couldn't take care of us anymore. Like they just, I don't know if they lost their jobs, or I don't know what happened, but they just explained that they couldn't have us anymore, and it turned into this whole big, like, we all broke down crying
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I know about that. My wife grew up in an orphanage, so and it was a crazy place that had a lot of weird supernatural things going on. And that's why I was asking about the foster home stuff, just because I
yeah.
know like kids I think are always more susceptible to like the weirder stuff because the veil is thin and they haven't been like flattened by society yet. And the imaginations are a little more like pure. So sometimes it's your imagination interpreting your own things going on in your mind. And other times you might be seeing stuff that just others don't see, which is the case with my wife and certain things that she had experienced growing up. So like all those things come together and you start to see maybe like beyond just normal reality, and or things like the Hat Man find children who are in these weird situations and they're vulnerable and they appear before them. So all those things are kind of working against you. And I think what gives your story with the truck and the thing you saw what gives it more credence is the fact that like your brother experienced weird stuff too, and that there's this like shared experience between you guys. I've definitely seen things on the roads too, having grown up in the middle of the woods. You just see things and you're like, is that just my imagination running away, or something out there? You know, so every time you see that kind of figure, is it usually the same? Or you said one time it had a hat, but other times it didn't.
Uh, well, I only experienced it the one time.
Okay.
With this figure with the hat. I never asked my brother like exactly what like to explain the figure. He just said that he saw a man in the corner just watching us,
Hmm.
me and him both together. It I can't really explain it. But I think what my brother went through was more traumatizing to him. because he was more closer to this foster family than I was.
Right.
You know, we were all close, obviously, but it's just this hit him harder.
Yeah.
So I think he ended up. I know he talked about that he saw this figure more times than I have, but
Yeah.
I've only saw it the one time. And then when me and him ended up separated again, I didn't. I don't know. Maybe it's because of the fact that I was like, I wasn't attached to anything anymore. I was growing up like a teenager now,
Hmm.
but I didn't see this figure ever again.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until I moved in with my wife that, you know, I started waking up half asleep and started seeing other things, like I mentioned, crawling off the wall.
Right.
Um,
Like the
but
spider
I got
thing.
it. I should talk to my brother again. Like, hey, what's up with these? Like, are you still seeing this figure?
Yeah, yeah. Because I know a lot of people don't want to talk about it. Sometimes it's like some of these weird things happen at night. You're like, I just want to leave that in last
Yeah.
night. I don't want to talk about it. But people are certainly. We had a caller a few months ago who actually described a very similar spider-like entity thing. You know, and it's weird when a lot of people start to tell you very similar stories. A lot of people who don't know each other start telling you the similar
Oh,
story. You're like, you know, something's going on. I think, you know, some people just can tap into it, or other people are more susceptible to it. Did you have other experiences on the road?
I had one other experience, but I think it was actually me being sleep deprived. So I was driving through. I was coming from Palm Springs in California. I was making my way to Kingman, Arizona, and I was driving through Amboy. And this is more like, this was like around 2 o'clock in the morning, or 3 o'clock in the morning. It was around that time,
Hmm.
and I ended up at a stop sign, and you know, was just waiting there, and it was kind of lit up in that area. Uh, and what I saw was just weird. And I honestly think I was more sleep deprived because of this. I saw a woman with a group of kids just walk across the street.
Hmm.
It was a very weird thing.
Hmm.
Um, Now, I don't know about the town of Amboy, but it's pretty much a deserted town. Like you could see like an abandoned hotel and stuff like that in that area. And I think there's only like one working gas station.
Oh, weird.
Um, yeah. So I don't know if there was like a school over there that like abandoned or something like that, but that was one other experience I had. Um,
Were there
I mean,
were there certain places that you would drive through that always felt like a certain way, or that you felt like,
that you
yeah, yeah,
feel weird and freaked out and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, all usually though that like when I feel freaked out and I'm driving at night, it's more in the southern areas, like when I'm going through Alabama or whatever. And
Hmm.
it's usually in the rural towns. And it's not because of the people. I want to put that out there. It's not because of the people there.
For sure.
No, because the rural people are like the best. I think
I
they're the
agree.
best.
I agree.
Um, it's
Sorry, I
just
know
it gives
Chicago
off that
people
kind of
might be
vibe
listening.
at night.
Oh, it's fine. I'll let it go.
No, but I grew up. I grew up on a farm. I understand that, and I also had that experience too, like, or those experiences of being in like rural parts of Georgia, or Louisiana. There's just something weird in the air down there, you know. But even
Yeah.
down here in West Virginia, did you ever share other stories with other truck drivers, or hear other truck drivers like tell you something that they saw?
No, not really. I never got a chance to actually stay at truck stops long enough to, you know, just
Right.
talk to other truck drivers. Um, so yeah, I can't say I haven't shared any stories with them.
Truck drivers do have the best stories.
Yeah.
If you people can look back on the episodes, it was with Tony Merkel, who's the host of the Confessionals, and he used to be a truck driver as well. And he told some crazy stories from the road, from his own stuff and some from other people, like giant wolf creature type things that like one guy shot at. Crazy
Oh,
story. Yeah, yeah, pretty wild stuff. But something, you know, I think the truck drivers just are able to see a lot more because it's desolate, and you're those super late, very early hours always end up to giving you something strange, you know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's times when I thought I saw like weird creatures and stuff like that, but it's more like once you get closer to them, like, oh, okay, never mind. It's just a dog walking
Right,
across the street or whatever, you
right.
know. But I've heard like online, I've read of stories like that, like the you know, chupacabras.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
it's insane. I think the uh, one that I've heard of the most was the skinwalker.
Yeah,
Like
those are interesting.
Yeah, I think the one story. This is from a truck driver buddy that I was talking to about it. And he said that he saw a he can't make heads or tails of it, but it was like it was the size of a horse with a neck just as long, and he was in his cab like punching stuff into his computer or something like that, and he saw it and just peeked into his window, and it just continued walking on.
Oh man, that's crazy. I mean, that's why like when I think of truck drivers, I think of pirates, and I think of like people on the seas telling old crazy stories about like some sea monster they saw. Or
Sirens
Kraken.
and stuff.
Sirens,
yeah.
like I was talking about the Odyssey last night and all the things they saw. You're out there in the wide open, seeing crazy stuff. Are you still doing it? Did you say that? I'm sorry if I missed that.
What
Are you still driving trucks? Or you said
Driving
locally?
trucks?
Yeah,
Yeah, I drive trucks.
you're still doing that locally. Yeah, but
Yeah,
lately,
right now I'm local, but I used to be over the road. The
Okay.
big rigs with the 53
Yeah.
foot trailers.
but haven't seen anything lately. You've been in the clear.
No, because I drive during the daytime now, so
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
you
really
just-
see
It's
anything.
much easier.
Just see the crazy people out there.
Yeah, just pretty much just weird drivers and stuff. That's all I really get. That's my interactions nowadays. That and bears because I live in the mountains.
Yeah, I got to watch out for bears. Well, I would appreciate you calling in. That was a great first call.
Yeah, I appreciate this. Keep the show going. I love it.
Thanks, man. We
I don't
really
know what to
appreciate
say.
that. Thank you. If
All
you got
right.
any more stories, call in.